Susan Close is South Australia's Environment and Water Minister. She joins us again on Flow. How are you, Minister?
Good morning. I'm great, thank you.
Now, some big announcements that you've made, and one we might zero in on first. It's an announcement made in Adelaide about stormwater recycling, but it actually has significance for those who live on or care about the Murray River.
Yes, so the Commonwealth Government has funded a return of 143 megalitres to the River Murray, to the environment, as part of the 450 gigalitres that we're trying to get hold of through the Murray-Darling Basin plan. The way this works is that the Marion Council is able to use their water much more efficiently. They're able to have access to stormwater, to recycling, and that means that they can relinquish demands on the Murray of about 143 megalitres a year. So everyone's a winner through that, and it's a fantastic project.
Is it a project that sees the water used on like public grounds, or is it for potable water, or is it purely just for non-potable purposes?
It's for non-potable purposes. So what they're able to do is use the water that they were wanting to put on grass and public grounds, ovals and so on. They're able to use this recycled water rather than depending on the River Murray water.
And I guess that's a bit of accounting there that helps the 450 gigalitre target on the Murray-Darling. Are there prospects not only within the metropolitan area of Adelaide, but maybe even with these desalination announcements that are lined up for regional Australia, South Australia, that we might actually see more help for the Murray and the 450 gigs that way?
Look, I don't see that desal water is going to be a way that we get this 450 gigalitres, because desal water is expensive. It's high quality water. It's potable water, the one that we're doing for Port Lincoln, for example. And so it's the most expensive way to recover water. So to be able to actually get the Commonwealth Government to contribute funding, we need to make it something that sort of makes sense financially to them. Now, it is possible that with some desal plants in the future, if they're not having to be at that potable water level, say they're for mining, we might be able to do some kind of deal if they're currently using Murray water. But I don't think desal's very likely to be the way. What we really need to do is a combination of water efficiency projects so that we're using water much more efficiently and can give the water that we're not using back, and also letting people who want to sell River Murray water, letting them sell it to the Commonwealth for the environmental water holder.
Now, speaking of water, one of the number of projects that have been funded after a conservation funding round I want to zero in on, but just tell us a bit about this range of environmental grants that you've given in the last week.
Yes, so we've given out about $5.5 million worth of projects for landscapes. People might remember the old NRM system. That's now called landscapes, but it's basically the same thing. It's boards of community people across the regions doing good works to make the country more sustainable, but also for primary production in a more sustainable way. So it's about the environment, but it's also about primary production. And this money is money that's collected in Adelaide through the levy that's paid by Adelaide people and then shared out across the rest of the regions, so that we're making sure that that money is properly shared and that the environment benefits across South Australia. So there's a number of those projects that have been announced this year, and one of those is down in the Limestone Coast, which is to purchase some land in Karst Springs land, which will help to retain water from going out to the sea, create much better environmental benefits through wetlands, but also to retain water in the system, which is able to be used for primary production.
Yeah, that's a fascinating one, because it's largely, in my layman's understanding, groundwater that finds its way out at or near the ocean. And so, unique area. Is that one that feeds into places like Piccaninny Ponds?
Well, you're exactly right. So as you know, throughout the southeast, the Limestone Coast, when Europeans first showed up, they went, oh my goodness, this is very wet most of the year. We can't even get our horses and carts through from down Mount Gambier way up to Adelaide for a lot of the year, because the whole place gets flooded. And so there were these incredible systems of drains that were put in that really were about dewatering that land to enable people to live there and to have primary production there. But what people have realised is that in that dewatering through those drains are very, very efficient at shifting water out into the sea, that we lost a huge amount of the wetlands, so we started doing real damage to the environment. And also, There's primary producers who'd like access to that water, but the aquifers are drained so quickly because groundwater and aquifer water are very, very close together down around the limestone coast. So what we're trying to do is work out places where we can hold that water back, have a better environmental outcome. It's exactly like Piccaninny Pond, so have those better, healthier wetlands so that the bird life and animal life and plant life are able to be restored, which is good for all of the environment and everyone who lives in it. But also those aquifers get filled up a bit more as well, and that has a knock-on effect of being useful for primary producers who want access to a bit more water.
And I noticed Piccaninny Ponds was closed recently for water quality purposes from memory, but I imagine there's a tourism benefit, maybe ecological divers wanting to check out places like Piccaninny Ponds for their biodiversity.
Exactly. And in fact, obviously there are people who are really, really into the environment, maybe scientists who want to go and study it, or people who love going and checking out all the number of bird species they can see. So those people are really interested in visiting those areas. But actually, I reckon most of the tourists who come to South Australia come because our environment is so beautiful. And then they discover all the other wonderful things, the wine, the culture. But our environment is a huge selling point, whether it's Kangaroo Island or through the limestone coast or up into the Flinders Ranges. So the more we look after it, and the healthier it is, the more beautiful it is, the more we're going to have people saying, hey, South Australia is a gorgeous place to go. Let's go spend some time out there.
Yeah, good comments as Gather Round is underway in South Australia, and everyone, all the AFL fans are discovering things about Adelaide they didn't know before.
That's right. I was in Houndorf yesterday for a meeting with a lot of Aboriginal land managers, and the place was full of people wearing all of their football regalia. So, yeah, they're really getting out and about and enjoying South Australia, and that's a wonderful thing to see, and I'm hopeful it'll be very successful over this weekend.
Susan Close is the Deputy Premier and Water and Environment Minister. Thanks so much for joining us again today.
Thank you.